Welcome to the Reidsville Chamber of Commerce News and Views. I'm your host, Diane Sawyer, President and CEO of the Chamber. And today I have with me a very special guest, Jodi Lester with SERVPRO. Welcome to the show.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, I'm excited for you to be here.
Yeah.
So one of the things I always promise my guests, this is just a fun conversation. So we're going to jump all over the place because we've known each other for a while, and we have different personal connections and also the business connection. So, but the big reason that you're on the show today is because you guys are celebrating something real special.
Yes. So we are celebrating 15 years coming up in April. SERVPRO of Rockingham County has been in business 15 years. And I'm here to talk about SERVPRO, maybe talk about some family things, talk about life, talk about our faith and how our businesses work together to support each other and how easy that actually can be made for us to do. So, yeah, I'm really excited to talk about all the stuff.
So I'm excited to have you here, and mostly just because I, for the longest time, have just thought of you as one of the most professional and positive females that I have ever really met. And so you always seem to have a smile on your face, and even if there's a hint of something, there's still a smile on your face and you're still trying to figure out how to get through it. And I just think that it's encouraging. And I really appreciate what you do in our community. You have long been an avid supporter and cheerleader and volunteer and worker and just tried to make things better. And we appreciate what you do.
Diane, thank you. That's the biggest compliment that anyone can give me. Thank you so much.
Well, I'm excited for you because I've seen you. I'm that kind of generation between, and I have watched you raise your children because your children are just kind of that next step above, older than mine.
Right.
And I think about all the things that are happening in their lives and how excited I am for you because I'm on the brink, right? I've got an 8th grader and a 5th grader and a 2nd grader. So we're getting ready to do that first time high school, second time middle school. And I am all in my feels. So
when I hear you at different coffees and things, talk about your children, talk about education and all the opportunities that our community is offering our children and all, I think back to those times as a mom when I was in that same stage and how I was fortunate enough to have another mother that was a little bit ahead of me. When our first child was going to middle school, I would call and I was like, oh my gosh, how do I get through this?
What do I do?
And so it's all, and actually when I hear you talk about your children and stuff, I think, I need to make an opportunity to sit down with Diane and just tell her it's going to be okay. Because it is, you white knuckle a lot of situations through life and all, but, you do the best you can. They love you, you love them, and it is going to be okay. You do get through it.
Well, you are a prime example of how it is okay because one of the most exciting things for your business right now is bringing your son to work.
Yeah.
How cool.
God, it's actually Big Cliff and Little Cliff are on a carpet cleaning job for a dental office in Eden this morning as we speak. And my husband, Cliff, has been just over the moon excited of being able to have this adult friendship relationship with him now. He went to the University of Wilmington to the Cameron Business School and graduated with a business degree there. And, actually, I think all 3 of my children, the girls had plans. They had plans that they were, but when it gets to the end of college, I think they all have stressed. I don't know what I want to do. I don't know what I want to do. And Cliff and I both say, we still don't know what we want to do. You figure it out. You go through life, you make changes. You don't fail until you quit. Mm-hmm. And so Little Cliff, he had conversations with us and we're like, SERVPRO, the foundation is here. Come, you're welcome to come and learn from your dad and learn a little bit from me. I don't know what he could learn from me, but anyway, his dad is a very good mentor. And so he's come back, and hopefully he'll help take us to the next stage of what SERVPRO can be. And we'll be able to give him some guidance as just, a young entrepreneur. So
It's so exciting.
yeah, we're really excited. Yeah.
Let's do this. For people who don't know what SERVPRO is, tell us what SERVPRO does.
So yesterday morning I went to the Western Rockingham Chamber coffee. And I have heard some people say, "Oh, what do you do?" So when it became my time to speak, I thought, you know what, I'm gonna say, what do you think SERVPRO does? And to my happiness, a lot of people were able to speak up and tell us what we do. But for all of you that do not know, SERVPRO of Rockingham County is a fire and water restoration company, but not only do we do fire and water, we can clean your carpets. This is commercial, residential. We clean your rugs, can do your upholsteries. We're a mold mitigation company. And honestly, more than that, like when you have a disaster happen, it happens when you least expect it. And unfortunately, we come into people's lives at the most chaotic time.
Heartbreaking.
It is.
A lot of times.
Yes. And it honestly, SERVPRO is more like a mission. Like our church talks about missions, local, national, global. And, you sometimes think, oh, what can I do big? Like I need to go to Costa Rica. I need to go, and people, you do need to go to do those things. However, I have realized in the past few years that our place is in our community. And it is like we are able to walk people through some of the worst times in their lives and honestly make it better. Like it's so much better in the end. And Cliff he's, oh my gosh, I can't, if I could bottle up what Cliff does for our customers. Like, for example, there was an elderly couple that had a fire damage a few years ago. They could not mow their yard. They didn't have children local to do things. Their yard needed mowing. Cliff packed up his mower one morning on a trailer and took it down there, mowed their yard in the midst of cleaning their home for their smoke damage. There was a lady that had a water damage that was homebound. She needed some arthritis cream, and she called him when he was on his way to the house and asked if he would stop by the pharmacy and pick up her cream. He stopped by, and took the cream to it. He is the most amazing, compassionate man to do what he does. And our customers are so thankful, and I want more people to know, call us first, save our telephone number, put us in your phone. When you're standing in water, call us first. Cliff walks them through the whole insurance issue from beginning to end, and he will not leave the job until everyone is completely satisfied. That's just who he is. And yeah.
It's so funny that you're the way that you have brought it full circle. This is not at all where I expected today to go.
Okay.
So it's so funny that you're talking about this from that, because you hear those things, and I've known that about Cliff for a long time. People in the community love him, and but when you talk about restoration, it makes me think about, you're not just restoring from the smoke damage, like you're restoring that whole piece of their life and, their faith in humankind, like their faith in whatever it might be. And it's funny that you said that about mission, because I've actually had more than one member say to me, do you ever think that maybe like the chamber is your mission? And I'm like, I didn't realize it for the longest time, but it really is. And I think that we have such a great team here with our staff and our board, but it's our members that help us, do that. And so we're so thankful to have members like you and folks who are willing to share their story and kind of bare their soul with people and let people bare their souls to them, because it's so important, because that's one of those white knuckle moments. How are we going to get through this?
To have someone come into your life when you are having those catastrophic events, or not even just stressful events, to have someone that can come in and just listen and understand and hold your hand through it. And I think about that with businesses too. Like, I just, to support. I had a young lady who came over yesterday morning and thanked me for liking her post on LinkedIn, and it was a click on the computer, and that meant something to her. And we even are going to have lunch next week, and maybe figure out how we can support each other more. And if all of us could rally around each other and actually support each other, we're all local community. We're neighbors, and we are business owners. And if we can just learn how to love on one another and support one another, that's the biggest win for our small little county.
It is, and it's so funny. It's so funny what you said, because I was just thinking about this. I talk about this a lot too. I did a training for a company. It was like a Chamber 101, but it was specific to their company. And they were a franchise. And I said to them, "You're a franchise, but you're a small business." And I was like, and so you guys, you're from a franchise, you own a local franchise, but you're still a small business, and you're still neighbors, and it's still a hometown business. So when people are calling SERVPRO, they're not really calling SERVPRO. You have all the benefits that SERVPRO offers you to provide as a franchise, but they're really calling Cliff and Jodi Lester.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes that's hard for our local community to understand, because we do have corporate stores, but a lot of our franchises are owned by people who live right here in the community.
Yeah.
And so when you talk about small business, you have to be careful, because like you said, it's more about neighbors and community. And I always tell people success begets more success. And it's not competition. It actually helps create the buzz and people.
Yes.
So it's just so cool, to see how things work together.
Wins. Yes. Celebrate the wins of each other, because that only means there's going to be a win in your future. The wins in our community, that shapes our community for future success. And
So it's so. This is hilarious to me how some of this is shaping up. So one of my mentors, that's something that he taught me really early on. So there's two things I learned early on at the Chamber. One, from my very first mentor, who was my board chair, who was head of the committee that hired me. And I learned really quickly that perception is reality, and that's important in a small town, because it doesn't matter what I know, and it doesn't matter how hard I work or what we've accomplished. People's perception of the Chamber and people's perception of the board and other businesses is reality. And so you always have to keep that in mind. But the next thing that I learned was we have to celebrate the wins, no matter how small, no matter how large, and celebrate everybody's wins, because we're all winning when somebody else wins. And so it's funny, people will see me, like when Ruger opened, and I came to that, and they're like, "Well, you're from Reidsville." And Ruger opening was huge for this county. And it's funny, because it's come full circle. Ruger's now a member here, because they see benefit out of what we offer and what we provide. And those are folks that didn't even know me or see me all those years ago.
Right.
But we've always championed any industry, any big project, because a win for Rockingham County is a win for Rockingham County. And it's just such a great thing that you guys have hit this milestone, because 1 year, 3, 5, 10, and now 15. That's awesome.
That's
so we're
all
celebrating. And we're celebrating. So tell us about that. The 3 chambers in the county, you're a member of all 3, and you guys are supporting everybody, and we're going to come together and celebrate you.
Thank you so much for allowing, working that out for us. But I just thought, okay, so we're based in Stoneville. We work the entire community, the entire county, even Caswell and Stokes counties and too. But I just being based in Stoneville's so small and so sweet, but we're one of the smaller towns in the county, and I thought, what a better way to just highlight. I don't know, maybe our mission in Stoneville, as far as just putting it on the map in a way, and thinking, bringing all three chambers together, in Stoneville to celebrate a small business that has been there for 15 years, raised our family there, sent our kids to school there, and then also, to highlight some things about Stoneville and what Stoneville helps SERVPRO to be too. So I'm so appreciative that the three chambers have agreed to come.
Absolutely,
and
we love doing this kind of stuff.
So the pressure is on to plan the event, but it's June 26th. I guess do we start at 4 or 5 o'clock?
Yeah, usually like 4 to 7 kind of thing.
Okay, so I hope that there is tons of people that just pile into the town, and I can, see maybe what we pull off to get everybody together and, network and meet other businesses and support and learn something maybe. I don't know. So, yeah, I'm excited about that.
I am too. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. And it's funny. So you mentioned Stoneville and you mentioned putting it on the map.
Yeah.
There's a little opportunity for you to talk about some of the things that you guys have done. And I know that, let's just say you guys are really amazing when it comes to shagging. And that is kind of one of y'all's most fun and favorite hobbies that you do. But it's turned into so much more than a hobby.
Yeah. So, Diane, I'm glad you brought that up because that's how Cliff and I met. Without shag in our lives, I don't know where, there's been so many opportunities, so many meetings of people. But yeah, one Sunday night, back when I was, I guess I was maybe 20 years old, I went to a shag club by myself, and I saw a table of 2 young guys and their parents sitting across the dance floor. And I made the move and asked them both to dance, and I went back over and got a little napkin and I wrote my name down and my telephone number, and I was like, I'm giving Cliff my number before he leaves tonight. And so I had it ready. He asked, so I think we were both thinking the same thing. Anyway, 30 years later, 3 children later, because of shag, all of this, was born. So we danced in a national shag competition one year down in Myrtle Beach. Yep. There were some talent scouts that were in the audience that were scouting for dancers to dance in the Alabama country band. They had made a song called Dancing on the Boulevard. Alabama was founded in the Bowery down near the Pavilion in Myrtle Beach. So they recreated the Bowery in a movie set in Carolina Beach, and asked us if we would come and dance. And the cool thing was that all these young people that we danced with in that video, if you haven't watched the video, y'all go check it out. It's really cute.
It's cute.
But all those people that we're dancing with are the people that Cliff and I had grown up with shagging. And so it's cool that that's all commemorated in that 3.5 minute video. And they paid us $100. We signed our rights away and had a great day dancing. And that was a cool experience. But and then most recently we have danced, we have taught, I don't know, at this point, it's probably been 1,000 people or so shag dancing. And so many people and good friends have come into our lives through that. And most recently, we had Rockingham High School's women's varsity soccer coach, Coach Buck. He undoubtedly, I would have loved to go back to high school and probably be on his team, because I think he must be a really fun coach, because he does a lot of team building experiences for them. And we had taught them how to shag, 6-7 years ago. And one night he had this idea, I'm going to teach the girls how to shag. And so he called us and said, would you do that for us? And so one afternoon, a couple weeks ago, we actually went over, and I think it was probably about maybe 18, 20 girls. And Diane, I was thinking, oh gosh, how are they going to receive us? They don't even probably know what the shag is. They've never heard of it, and all. We went in and had the absolute best afternoon with these girls. They were interested, they were excited, they were asking questions. We were giving them the history of the dance, and I think a couple of them even want to go further with it. So we might be making another visit over there to
That's
teach
awesome.
some more. So yeah.
Well, it's funny. So to all of that you just said, and I didn't even think about that we would be here. So things that I may never have told you that people, may find interesting. So growing up, Alabama was my mama's favorite band.
Sweet.
And my parents were teenage parents. And so I kind of grew up with them and listening to music with them. And she loved them so much. And we were not able to take a lot of vacations when I was really young because they were working multiple jobs. She was going back to nursing school. So about in 7th grade, which would have been mid-90s, early to mid-90s, she got her nursing degree, and we were able to start vacation. And so we always went and stayed on the Strip of Myrtle Beach after that. So 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, we always did a week at the beach on the Strip. It was really funny because in our neighborhood, I lived across the street from a local AM station DJ, and he worked at a little station in Martinsville that probably a lot of people don't know of, but it was WHEE. And they were just like the FM stations. They had the ability to go to the concerts, to get tickets to the concerts. Well, he got backstage passes for Alabama.
Oh my gosh.
So in the 6th grade, me and his daughter were able to meet them. And I have this little photo album of me and all the guys.
Oh, sweet.
They were so sweet to us. And so big stars in my eyes. My mama was so jealous. And so, and I couldn't take her because it was literally like his daughter and her pick. So I was the pick, right?
Good for you.
And so it's so funny because then we started going to Myrtle Beach and we would go by the Bowery and I would hear about all this stuff. And so I'll never forget, like, almost being starstruck the first time that I met you. And so, it was so funny because I'm like, oh my gosh, like, Mama, did you know? Like, and she did. She followed the story because, the newspaper did the little story about y'all being in the video and all that. And interestingly enough, our late friend, Jake Hunley, I had some connections to them. And so, and my best friend married Ben Bragdon. So there were all these things that connected us to Stoneville and my friends and family and stuff. And I remember the first time that I finally, because I'd watched Jake and Tina. And then when I finally got to watch you and Cliff in person, and I was like, oh my gosh, and I still have, we're going to talk about it. I've still yet to learn. So I'm over here, all the things you're talking about, I have all these ideas. So when we get offset, I have some things I want to talk about.
I have been having some wheels turning too, because we haven't taught lessons in a while. And the young girls, the soccer team, it kind of fired me up. And I was just like, we need to get back to doing some of that stuff, and another mission, like bringing some people together. You don't need partners. You can learn individually. Like, there's so much that we could do through SHAG. I think that would be awesome. Yeah, we will talk about it. So. Yeah. Well,
let's talk about something else you've done.
Okay.
You have done a lot of things. You've volunteered, been in a lot of organizations. We've got just a few minutes left. Let's talk about town of Stoneville. Let's talk about what it's like to be a part of the political scene, what it's like to run for election, and what it's like to be involved in that, and why it's important for people to be engaged. Because that's one of my missions, is that if people don't do anything but listen to what the folks are saying and why that's so important.
Yeah. So being involved in your community, just being in the know is so important, because we all have voices and we all have opinions about how things should be done. On the flip side of that, we all should come together with open minds, open hearts to hear the other side, because if we don't at least be open to hearing what someone's opinion is, we never will understand it. And so if you have those conversations with people that you don't agree with, I'm telling you, 9 times out of 10, you're going to get a nugget that you're going to be able to figure out how to agree. So just listening more than we talk. And I hope I'm not talking too much on this video. But if we listen more than we talk, a lot of times the issues and the problems can can honestly work themselves out.
So I'm taking this opportunity because I don't always get somebody other than, like, say, paid city staff or current elected officials. But I'm taking this opportunity from Reidsville. I'm taking this opportunity to talk about this because it's so important to me. You know, you heard me talk about all those things at Education and the Coffee at Eden Jewelry, and you've heard me talk about some of these. And I recently attended, there is a potential launch with Reidsville Area Foundation and NC 100, kind of brought a bunch of people together to bring back the parent engagement program to educate parents, but not just parents, like everybody. Like, I tell people, I don't think they realize how important local politics are, because local is what affects your family and your business day in and day out. From, you know, I don't think that people realize when it comes to funding for schools, that the school board is responsible for the money and distributing the things that come down from the state, that the county commissioners are responsible for capital and buildings. I don't think that people understand the ordinances and things that the individual cities and towns versus the county, all the things that they can do. And it's just, I don't know how to encourage people. I don't remember hearing about those things like in school. And it just so happens that being in this job, I have learned so much, and I just want to empower other people with knowledge. And so I just wanted to give you an opportunity to say anything that you may want to encourage folks.
So as you guys started talking about the new CTE school in the county, CTE, I think it's called, so for you, okay, so let me just give you a personal example. Our son, Little Cliff, he graduated first year COVID, right? Okay. And so those were, that was a difficult year for, you know, not all of us are made up to leave home and go away for 4 years, you know? And for a long time, I think our culture got into, you know, honestly, almost maybe making kids feel like a failure if they weren't going to 4 years.
Weren't.
And it broke my heart, because that's just, you're either, you know, monetarily, you're not able to do that. Maturity-wise, you're not able to do that. And decision-wise, you just don't want to leave. You want to stay in your community. And I'm so excited to hear about our county getting back to encouraging these young people to stay in the community, learn those trades. Oh my gosh, Diane, like dealing with what we deal with subcontractors, plumbers, electricians, they do so well for themselves, and all of those are small businesses. And being able to support those subcontractors, and then being able, thinking about, as a business owner, thinking about what our county is providing through RCC and the new trades high school. I honestly, I guess I'm a little bit thinking about, like, how's that going to affect my business in the future?
Absolutely,
I can bring these young people, you know, because I'm not young. I'm 50, you know, and so I want to bring in. I don't understand. Like, I'm teaching myself now SEO and all the social media stuff, and trying to figure all that stuff out. I'm learning a lot, and it's probably good for my 50-year-old brain to learn all that stuff. But I'm thinking how I could take, like, a young person's knowledge of how all that stuff works and combine it with some of my business savvy and put it together. Like, you know, I want to go pluck some of these kids out of these programs, you know, and the internships and Rockatop and all that stuff that the county offers as well. That's fantastic. And I'm actually on the cusp of trying to figure out how I can get involved with some of those educational programs to, you know, help. I want to help. Like, our budgets may not be big, but my elbow grease is a lot, you know, and so, like, I can talk, and I can encourage, and I can support, you know, and I'm not afraid to do that. And I really, guys, if you have, like, you're having a bad day, you know, or you need some guidance on advice of, you know, I don't know, give me a call. Like, you know, I'll listen, and I'll help you with however I feel like I can help you with, you know. And I think there's a lot of us in this community, and a lot of times we're afraid to pick up the phone and ask the question, because they're going to think I'm so whatever, you know. And I have found that when I pick up the phone and ask the question, the support and mentorship is there. On top of that, let me I have to give a shout out because this is my first podcast that I've ever gotten to do. I love podcasts, love them. And so we had a SERVPRO convention in Nashville, Tennessee this past July. And SERVPRO corporate is huge. And you feel like, a little guy when you go, well, Cliff and I do. There are some big SERVPROs out there, but you feel like a little guy. And when we came back to town after our convention, I was looking for just some encouragement, and I had to drive to Wilmington to where the kids were. They were keeping our dog, and so the next morning I got in the car and I thought, let me just see if there's any podcast out there regarding SERVPRO. So I did a search because I had a 4-hour drive. And I found this podcast called Higher Up. If y'all have got to go check out Higher Up. It's a franchise out of Birmingham, Alabama. It is Benji and Brady Wilson. They are brothers, sons who came and took over their father's SERVPRO franchise. And they do these podcasts. Well, anyway, I listened to them all the way to Wilmington, all the way back. I was in tears by the time I got back to Greensboro, just with the encouragement that I felt from them. I got home, I sent an email to the podcast, and I just said, I wanted you to know how you encouraged me and how I so appreciate the podcast. Anyway, one thing led to the other. Just by sending that email, I'm now in a mentorship program, a peer program with them that has about, I think there's maybe 40 or 45 of us franchises that they have an owner's Zoom meeting every month. They have a marketing meeting every month that I sit in. They are available. One of their guys came to visit us in Stoneville about a month ago. So what I'm saying is, don't be afraid to reach out, and just ask a question, because I think the people that have had the successes, they want to give back. That's what I promised the Wilsons. I said, I've got to pay this back. I've got to pay it back. So anyway, I don't know that I paid it back on this show, but anyway, this was my first opportunity. I want to pay it forward in some way, and take, help in my way that I can help the future generation.
We are excited because I have a bunch of ideas, and I think you will. And I will say this in closing. I love this story that you shared with me, and I will share with you somebody else who you could pick their brain. Okay. They are doing a lot of similar stuff. J.R. Cecil, who is a Rockingham County franchise owner for Liberty Tax, who has the Eden and the Reidsville offices. Okay. He runs a leads group and a mastermind group on their franchise side.
Oh, nice.
And he's doing so many of the things he even at one point was hired by corporate because he was doing all of these things with franchise owners. And he's since not doing that anymore, but he would be, as a franchise owner and somebody that's in that situation, you should connect with him, and we can definitely.
Okay. I definitely will do that. Yeah, that's awesome.
Well, we're out of time.
Are we really?
We are.
Oh my gosh.
We're way over time. So we have really accomplished what we set down to do. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
So thankful that you came on and were able to talk about it. So June, we will put that stuff out, and we will hope that everybody joins us for the county after hours.
Can I say one last thing for SERVPRO? Guys, our number, 336-573-4345. You may see a 1-800-SERVPRO online, and that's fine to call. However, make sure that you get Cliff and Jodi. Call that telephone number. Save us into your phone. Hopefully you never need us, but be prepared for when you do. We will come running.
Yep.
So, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, well, that is it for today's show. As always, you can find us in the heart of downtown Reidsville at 140 South Scale Street at reidsvillechamber.org and all of our social media channels. Stay tuned. We'll see you soon.